Coach development modelling within a particular sport involves determining which type of coach is needed to work with and develop a participant playing that sport in a particular environment. Once this coach has been identified, it is important to understand the relevant knowledge, skills and capabilities that that particular coach needs. This is a process that the Hockey Coaching Strategy Group for GB have recently completed. They have produced an interactive model that can be accessed by coaches, allowing them to take ownership of their own development. Sports Coach UK spent some time with members of the strategy group to find out a bit more about the journey that they embarked on and how the model is being used now.
Well, it's an interesting point because we had quite a lot of detail and quite a lot of paperwork floating around at the time, but we just thought that we needed it accessible to as many people as possible. So the fact that it's interactive meant that we could basically layer information one behind the other, so that qualities and skills and qualifications and further training and CPD could all be layered behind it, so people could actually see what do I need to do to actually move up the coaching pathway. So they could compare one area with another area, and it all became interactive because we live in a technology age and people wanted to be able to have it all singing, all dancing, and I'm sure we'll tweak it as we go along, but we're very happy with where we started, I think. Yeah, it's interesting because the original one that we were presented with was 4x4, but we looked at our game and we looked at the makeup of the people playing it, and we realised that a youngster under 11 was a very different specimen to those over 11. So we wanted to split the children's coach into two different areas, so that's why we ended up with 5 areas. So we've got the 2 children's areas, but then we've got adult participation, then the talent pathway, and then the elite coach. And we just felt that the children were so different that we needed two strands as such to be able to cater for the needs of those individuals. It's an interesting one because I'm sure there are many coaches who are school teachers, so they work with children, but they are also coaching a club, and they might also work within the talent pathway or in an elite pathway. So, but it's mainly to do with their skills and their characteristics and what they can bring to the party. So if they've got the skill sets, then there's no reason why somebody can't be in more than one strand, more than one coaching environment. But at the same time, we want to really recognise those people who are experts with under 11s, because they're invaluable to our game. And I think that's one of the reasons I really like the coach model, is it's given us a recognition of those people who are operating in those environments. Because I've worked with many coaches and they all tell me they want to coach the national team. And we only have 2 people doing that. So we wanted to make sure that we recognised and rewarded the coaches who are invaluable to our game, really. Yeah, that's been a really interesting one. We set up some coaching clubs around the country, and we spent 2 hours going through a training needs analysis. We worked in partnership with Sports Coach UK, and we were able to introduce them to the coach model and how they could utilise it both within their own personal environment, their club environment, and schools, education. The universities and various other establishments have bought into it thanks to the conference that we had in Belfast last year. So I've been out to 3 or 4 universities now, all who do coaching awards, coaching degrees, and they're showing it to their students as an example of a coach pathway and how they can access it. So I think we've been fortunate because I think we hit the market at the right time and the right place, and it's just by word of mouth, by the websites, both England, Scotland and Wales, and it's just been a really good time to get that out there. Everybody's interested in the coach pathway as well as the player pathway. In the first month we had something like 3,000 unique hits on our website, of which they were spending more than 3 minutes on there, which apparently I'm told is really impressive. So we do have those figures and we get them on a monthly basis.
The model hasn't currently had any impact on coach education and UKCC courses. We're only at the start of our journey with this. What it has done is informed us of the environments required and the roles, responsibilities and all the skill sets that these coaches need. And now we're going to start to plan specific courses that will suit each environment. So for example, a level 2, we might move towards a diploma. It might be environment specific, it might be working with children, it might be working with adults, participation coaches, and it really is a case of we now need to expand our courses and make them fit for purpose for all aspects of the hockey family. The workforce model is extremely simple. It really is just the criteria and the skill sets required to deliver coach education at each level. It helps anyone wanting to be an aspiring educator, assessor, verifier, but it also gives a pathway as to how they develop. They become a head educator and they look at delivering a higher education award. So it's just very simple skill sets. The modelling process needs to be fit for sport. It needs to be simple, especially if you're going to communicate it to the wider playing public, hockey coaching public. Really the top tip is ensure that you know what you want, what your environments are. Make sure you know what skill sets, the roles, responsibilities, environment, who can help them and how they're going to get there. And it really is quite a simple process if you just adhere to that. Don't make it complicated, keep it simple.
In Scotland, what we're trying to use the coach model for is to use as with individual coaches is for gap analysis, trying to get them to look at it and work out where they need to be, where they are currently. And the other side of it is for local authorities and clubs who are looking to employ coaches to use as employment guidelines around about maybe job descriptions and those type of areas.
In Wales we're very similar. I guess the two things that we would add to that is that we're trying to encourage our clubs to also use the model to be able to deploy volunteer coaches, so not necessarily only paid coaches in that same way. The other thing for us is that we've launched Vision 2020 that has some very clear goals in there around both numbers of players and therefore the number of coaches that we'll need. So the coach development model will help us guide what kind of coaches we need at what different levels of the pathway.